1.
Welcome to our overview of India. A few main ideas on the geography of India. India is a subcontinent, which is part of the continent of Asia. India is separated from the rest of Asia by mountain systems, including the Himalaya. Remember from earlier areas that we've studied that mountains or deserts help create a natural barrier and help protect an area. The southern two-thirds of India is part of the Deccan Plateau. The three main rivers of India are the Indus, the Ganges, and the Brahmaputra. Seasonal winds called monsoons greatly affect the climate and agriculture of India. Here's what we mean by subcontinent, right? You can see the way that the area juts out as they're a part of this larger continent. Here's those Himalaya mountains, where if you've heard of Mount Everest being the highest peak there. There's the Ganges River, again, kind of adding to that natural barrier. And here's the winter and summer monsoons. A couple of these geographical features: a subcontinent is a large landmass that is smaller than a continent. The west and east coasts have lush, fertile lands ideal for farming. Inland, you have those rugged hills and that large highland area called the Deccan Plateau. The Himalayas separates India from the rest of Asia to the north, and that list of major rivers again. In India, we started off having the Indus Valley civilization. This is about 5,000 years ago. The first settlements were built along the Indus River. We still can find ruins of former cities such as Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, and these reveal much about Indus culture. They had advanced features such as paved streets, indoor bathrooms, and garbage chutes. Archaeologists have learned that most Indus Valley people lived in farming villages, made metal tools and clay pottery, and traded with other civilizations. If you look here at this image of some of the homes that were left behind, they revealed a lot about life in the Indus Valley civilization. By 2600 BC, this was a large, bustling city. Thousands of people lived and worked here. People waking up in the city probably greeted the day by walking into courtyards of their brick houses. One of the really famous features of the houses was that the outer walls had no windows. Keep in mind, it's really hot in India even today. So they had to create ways to work around that heat and to survive despite the heat. And you can see there's these little like stairs and ladders that go into everybody's house. By around 1900 BC, the people of the Indus Valley began to abandon their cities and villages. So what you start to see happen is this migration. The Aryan people, they were part of the Indo-Europeans, and they spread out all over the world around this time, bringing with them their language and their customs. One of the reasons that a lot of modern languages are really similar is because of the spread from the Indo-Europeans. The Aryans were an example of Indo-Europeans, and they migrated to India and mixed with the descendants of the Indus Valley people to create a culture. The Aryans made iron tools, farmed the land, and built irrigation systems. Aspects such as of Aryan culture, such as the Sanskrit language and the reading of the Vedas, were important. Remember, the Vedas are religious texts, and the Vedas are going to impact Hinduism later on. This map shows some of that migration. And again, this goes to that question of how does migration impact the world? The Aryan migration really impacted the world by spreading language and customs. So there's the Aryans moving between 2000 and 1500 BC. The blue is where they migrated from 1500 to 1000, and then the green is from 1000 to 500. Sanskrit was the first written language of India. It was developed by the nomadic Aryan people of India when settled in villages, provided people with a way to record sales, trade, and land ownership. And it was used by the Aryans to record hymns, stories, poems, and prayers, which were later collected into sacred texts known as the Vedas. This is what Sanskrit looks like. And you can see the translation there. Early India had a social hierarchy. similar to what we would have seen in Egypt. The top class were the Brahmins. They were performed religious ceremonies and were priests. Then the warriors and government officials. Then the merchants, farmers, and commoners. And then the Sudras who performed manual labor and had few rights. These were laborers and servants. India is well known for being the home of several world religions. Hinduism is the world's oldest religion. It is the third largest religion in the world after Christianity and Islam. Hinduism has no one founder and no one holy book. The Brahmin religion blended with other ideas and became known as Hinduism. At the center of Hinduism is the belief in one universal spirit called Brahman. Hindus believe in reincarnation, karma, and dharma. Hinduism later led to the rise of Buddhism. Siddhartha Gautama, a religious leader, became known as Buddha. He founded Buddhism in India in the 500s BC. Buddhism is one of the world's main religions. However, today most Buddhists live outside India. Buddhism spread because it welcomed all people and placed importance on people's behavior for their success in life. Key Buddhist teachings include meditation, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and three qualities. This is a photo of a Buddhist monk. The conch shell, used as a horn by the Buddhist monk, symbolizes the far-reaching and harmonious and pure sound of Buddhist teachings. Buddhist monks carry on the teachings of the Buddha. They guide people through their daily lives to follow the Four Noble Truths so that they can lead a moral and ethical life based on nonviolence, kindness, compassion, and mindfulness. They help their followers find a middle way or the Eightfold Path, which means living simply, embracing moderation, and rejecting attachment to material goods so that they can achieve peace and wisdom. Here's just a couple of representations of the Buddha in modern art or in historical art. This is just a summary of some of the religions of the ancient world. The Sumerians, which we studied earlier, practiced polytheism, the worship of many gods. They believed some gods had power over parts of nature and that some gods guided the things that people did. They built temples called ziggurats. The Egyptians practiced polytheism, or the worship of many gods. They believed in powerful gods or deities that controlled the natural forces and human activities. They believed in a peaceful afterlife. The Israelites practiced monotheism, or the worship of one all-powerful God. They believed every individual could personally connect with God through prayer, religious study, and good acts, and they recorded beliefs and history in the Hebrew Bible. Lastly, India had several empires as time went on. India's first empire rose in 321 BC under Chandragupta Maurya. The Mauryan Empire prospered under Chandragupta's grandson Ashoka, reaching its height in 273 BC. Ashoka adopted Buddhism and used its teachings to improve the lives of his people, built Buddhist shrines, and spread Buddhist ideas, but allowed his Hindu subjects to practice their religion. And this map shows the expanse of the Mauryan Empire. These pillars here were created by Ashoka, and they were inscribed with Buddhist teachings, and they also celebrated Ashoka's work. One of those kind of funny things where a politician or a leader creates monuments to themselves during their lifetime. You can see this spread, nearly over the boundaries of modern India. Some notable events from Ashoka's reign. He built roads, which led to India becoming a center of a large trade network that stretched to the Mediterranean, made laws that encouraged people to do good deeds, which caused the empire to reach the height of its glory, and applied Buddhist faith to his leadership, and he became a man of peace and gave up the violence that he had exhibited in his earlier life when he was kind of conquering all those lands. In AD 320, the Gupta dynasty came to power in India. Samudragupta expanded the empire and helped bring about a golden age of India. The leaders of the Gupta Empire practiced Hinduism and built many Hindu temples. The trade expanded during the Gupta, and pilgrims used trade routes to reach holy sites. And lastly,
the people of the Gupta Empire made great advancements in mathematics, literature, and science. Mathematicians created the decimal